Alright, welcome back to my Windows 3.1 tutorial. Now I've gotten a little bit better at using this new DOS operating system. What I've realized is it adds a graphical interface to DOS to make tasks much more easier. So now you have this menu bar at the top that you can access through the mouse, and you can do common features like copying files, working with DOS much easier, kind of like you would do in Windows. Now this is kind of making it a little easy, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with the DOS methodology of interacting with the interface. So I'm going to be using the console commands. I'm going to be typing it out on the keyboard rather than using the mouse to do those tasks. But regardless, this part of the tutorial I'm going to go ahead and install the video drivers and the sound drivers. Now I hope to complete this in one tutorial video, so let's go ahead and go at it. But before we get started, let's go ahead and look at the Windows 3.1 interface. So to start Windows, you just type WIN, win, and hit enter, and Windows should come up. And it looks like we have our first problem. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that graphical interface. And, aha! I have definitely seen this error before. So I'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to have to consult the internet for this. Alright, I am back. I went ahead and consulted. Now this seems to be a common problem with DOS 7, and usually only applies if your memory is greater than 256 megabytes. Mine actually happens to be 512. So it seems the solution to this problem is to go into the system.ini in your Windows folder and change a setting. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my Windows directory, CD for change directory, Windows, and now I'm going to type edit system.ini and hit enter. Now, the thing I'm looking for is page over comment. And let's see, where is that setting? Page over... .386 enhanced mode. Oh, okay, so there's more. It should be in the header 386ENH. Let's see. Going down here. I seem to be having trouble here. Let's see. Page over comment. I don't seem to have that option, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. Command is page over comment equals 2, since I have 512 megabytes, and that should solve our problem. So I'm going to go ahead and save it and exit. Exit. Thank you. Okay, going to go cd ... which means go down one directory, and now I'm going to type Windows again. And as you can see, now we are finally in the Windows 3.1 interface. Sorry about the problem. I have never actually gotten that before. Just one of the problems of using DOS 7.1. But again, a minor problem. Should be able to solve it by just going onto the internet, finding your instructions, or just following the instructions in my tutorial. So now that we are safely able to get into Windows 3.1, let's go ahead and install the video drivers. Now there's two ways to do this. You can go into the main here and go into your Windows setup, and as you can see, here's your display, keyboard, mouse, and network, and you want to go to change system settings. And down here in your display, you'll want to go to Other Display Requires Disk from OEM. Now, I'd recommend not doing it this way, because if you modify system files when they're in use, you can get a conflict and then it can be tricky to solve, and I tried this with my video drivers and it just doesn't work. So instead we're going to go back into DOS, and then we're going to go back into the Windows directory, and then we're going to go into the setup from there. So now we're back in the setup that we saw in the installation of Windows. Again, we're just in the setup, we're not in Windows, it's not using any files, and now we can safely install the drivers. So I'm going to change my display, and I'm going to go ahead and go all the way down to Other. Requires disk provided by a hardware manufacturer. Now the video card I'm using again is a Riva TNT 16 megabyte, and as far as I know the drivers are still available on the internet. Again, if you're using a modern computer, chances are you're not going to be able to find a driver for your specific. You may actually have to use one of the general ones. So if you're using a video card other than mine, do the research on the internet before you use it, or before you buy a new one on the internet or through a hardware manufacturer. So I went ahead and put the files for my video driver in a folder called TNT 5v311. So it's my TNT video card, version 5 in 3.1 Windows. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and as you can see now it found, based on those video drivers, all the video card I'm using and all the video modes I could possibly set. Now I'm going to go ahead and set it to the highest setting, which is 1280 by 1024 that's supported by my monitor, and 65K video pixels. And I'm going to go ahead and do it in large font. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and now you'll see the change in my display, and now I want to complete the changes. So accept the configuration shown above, and it's going to go ahead and install the drivers. Now this is actually a known bug this is actually a bug that I know about. It says please insert the driver disk. However, I don't have the driver disk, so I just repoint it back to the folder that I put the drivers at and hit enter, and problem solved. It went ahead and installed the rest of the drivers. So now when I go back into Windows, I should see my enhanced resolution. So Windows loads up, and look at that. Windows 3.1 using my video drivers. This is 1280 by 1024 resolution. Pretty big for Windows 3.1, pretty enhanced. So when you're using the VGA default video driver, you're actually looking at 640 by 480 video. And so that's actually what you want to stick with for older applications. So even though you can actually stick with this resolution, you're going to see with some applications that it just doesn't like that resolution and it wants you to go back to 640 by 480, which is actually just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it back. So again, I want to go back into the setup and change the resolution. Now after you've installed your driver, you're going to see I don't have to select the disk again. You can see that all the options are back here included with the drivers that are installed with Windows 3.1. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the 640 by 480 at 256 colors. That's the typical resolution that all applications support. So I'm going to go ahead and accept configuration. Now it's going to say the driver is already installed. Do you want to keep it or replace it? You actually want to keep it. So we'll go ahead and do that, and that completes our installation of video. Now for the sound, I need to install from the actual CD. So as you can see, I have my original motherboard CD here, and it contains the drivers for DOS to get sound working. So I'm going to go ahead and put the CD in the drive. And actually, unfortunately, it looks like I do not have enough time left in this video to cover sound. So we're going to go ahead and cover sound in the next part. So this is CompuWiz47 from YouTube, Zorcher from Doom Connector, saying leave me your comments and I'll see you next video.